talking about nighttime workers, as I think there's 7 million people now working during the night, classified as official nighttime workers, and it's causing huge problems. I think the estimate that a lack of sleep is costing the UK economy up to £50 billion per annum in attrition rates, accident rates and low productivity. People who work through the night are suffering more with heart disease, more with cancer, more with diabetes, more with depression. They're also 6 times more likely to get divorced and are normally working at low income rates. Just wondering what the government's view is on this. What's the government actually doing with employees and employers to educate them more on how to reduce these huge mental impacts on people who are working in the nighttime economy, and that could be a whole range of issues. And also, is the government not considering getting the biggest employers, the largest employers of nighttime workers together to try and develop some sort of good practice for employers and employees of nighttime workers?
I think this should be an interesting answer. I've got to admit, those are some right statistics, aren't there? Wow.
Well, you're right to point this out. Good employers will address those kind of issues, of course, and we'd urge all employers to be good employers and to be considerate of the health of their workforce, because clearly that impacts upon their companies in many different organisations in many different ways, whether it be in the public sector or private sector indeed. So certainly you raise some very important issues. We're keen to make sure that employers do the right thing. ACAS has much guidance, I presume it has a guidance on people who employ people who work through the evening or through the night, and it's quite right, it's absolutely right that employers should follow that kind of guidance and follow best practice and to make sure their workforce is in the right place, both physically and in terms of their mental health.
I'll not dwell on the point, Minister.
It's a very fair point.
It's a really important issue when you look at the facts and the figures and the detrimental impact it's got on individuals. And I was sitting before listening to the earlier panel. Some people are forced to have to work through the night. Some people's employment is solely through the night, and the impact it's having on the mental health and other medical conditions is unbelievable. It really does need more than nice words. It needs some sort of action to ensure that individuals, the people who work for, the people who work in the workplace, are better educated to understand how they can deal with the impacts of the people who are working in nighttime occupations 6 times more likely to get divorced. Unreal, So it's all right saying ACAS should pick up the cudgel on this, or ACAS has got good guidance. I think the government's got a responsibility to deal with this and assist people in the workplace.
Well, we do fund ACAS, of course, and as you know, to a very significant degree. So they're a proxy in terms of making sure there is best practice at work. I would say nobody's forced to work. I think that's the words used, but I think what you mean is that that's the best choice of work that those people might be able to have access to. And indeed, night shifts might be suitable for some people, more suitable than others. They might fit with their own kind of life commitments. But you're quite right to point out the issue. I can maybe ask Mike, do we have anything specific in terms of guidance on, or does ACAS have any guidance on that particular issue?
I don't know, and it's not an area that we're doing active policy work on at the moment. But I think as your inquiry has found, that the labour market doesn't stay still. There are always new issues emerging. There's new evidence emerging, and of course we do our best to keep that evidence under review and keep developing the sort of the policy thinking as more information becomes available.
So is this fresh to you? What I've mentioned today, I'm
really fresh to me, Ian. I'm very happy you share that with us and we can look at it.
Mike's just said that it wasn't basically on the radar And the startling figures of £50 billion to the local, to the national economy.
Where's that data from?
We've got the data from one of the briefs we've got, but we've got it in the brief, and I'll get that to you, Kevin. But these are startling figures, and to think that nobody's really informed on them. People aren't really, I wouldn't say they're not interested, that'll be unfair, but not acting upon them and trying to help ordinary people in the work, help employers as well. Because I agree with what the Minister says. Every employer isn't a bad employer, and everybody tries to do their best, but it simply isn't working, and we're seeing an increase of people working in the nighttime economy.
So I think we're aware of the work that Co-op has been leading on this. I think we're aware of the 7 million figure. What I personally wasn't aware of was the starkness of those health and sort of well-being impacts that you've just mentioned.
Okay.
I see a recommendation coming your way.
I've got to admit, they're startling statistics. Wow. Jesus Christ. Wow. They certainly do need looking at. It shows you that, yeah, like he said, it's always a moving and an evolving market. Oof, those are some startling statistics. What do you guys think?